Nerd Soul.
Late ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today, all year movie reviews, and we ain't playing. We got a international brother on the line right now. You know him, you love him as the rugbyist brother in them streets. All right, I give to you, Gift. What's up, man?
Man, I'm doing good, brother. Thank you so much, man. I hope all has been well with you too.
Yeah. And I mean, I know you out there, doing, what I'm saying, doing your rugby thing. Let the people know a little bit about Gifttime Rugby, about HBCU Rugby Classic, all that.
Oh man, Gift Time Rugby is a place to be whenever you need to know what rugby is. We're out here trying to translate rugby for the people and really be able to bring awareness of what rugby is and what it can do for everybody. And then, our event, the HBCU Rugby Classic, which is, this beautiful project that was put together that I put together that has slowly grown more and more, given a chance to showcase HBCU rugby teams and let it be known that Black people, one, do play rugby, two, we have opportunities in rugby, and three, to be able to travel and find opportunities, not just on the field, but everywhere around the sport, whether behind the camera and the mic, whether you're a statistician or anything like that. We just want to make sure that between the knowledge and the build of HBCUs, that you also have another outlet that allows you to be able to showcase, show off, and develop.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about right there. So let's go on and get into Extraction 2. You know
Let's
what I'm
go.
saying? We're gonna get into that extraction right now. Oh, you better believe that. Because I was sitting around chilling, forgot when Extraction was supposed to come out. Extraction 2. And I saw a tweet from the young brother on the line that said Extraction 2 is a modern day Born Identity movie. The camera work and choreography on this piece is fantastic. I could take another two movies of it before it feels repetitive. That's a movie that belongs in the theaters, but I'm so happy it's on Netflix.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Yes, indeed.
So before we fully jump in to Extraction 2, are you a fan of the first movie, or do were you not feeling the first one and you like the second?
No, I actually loved the first one. It was actually super surprising to me. Not super surprising. It was surprising to me how fluid it was. And it's one of those stories for me that was a shock, like John Wick was. Simple
Yeah.
storyline, but the acting and the camera work worked in fluidity with each other, and that's not something that happens very often. So it was like I was impressed that. I mean, okay, I'll put it like this: I'm not anti Chris Hemsworth. I like him, as Thor and stuff like that.
Don't
But
don't hate on Thor now. Don't
right,
come on now. Don't mess with my boy Thor.
I love Thor. I love Thor. But I can also understand how it can feel reductionist because our introduction to Chris was Thor, and then unless you watched soap operas in Australia, you didn't know very much about him. And then
Understood.
right? And then of course you have like the brothers all together, Chris and Liam and the other one. So there was almost like this Paul brothers like feeling that they were going with him, maybe just because they're big, white, and blonde. So you kind of coop them up together. And so it wasn't. I didn't dislike him. It's just you don't think anything of him. But as he's been doing more work, I think Extraction 1 was, I think, his first big risk. And then these other movies he's done along the way have just kind of added to the seriousness of an actor that he is. And so with Extraction 1, I think it was that perfect twine, like I said, very John Wickish for what Keanu Reeves was with John Wick. It's like, you have a great director, you have a simple but poignant storyline, and you have an actor who can sell it. And man, that was good. So I was excited for Extraction 2, even though, the end of Extraction 1, the way it went with him over the bridge, I was like, if they don't make another one, this movie ended great. And if they do make another one, all right, let's go. Let's see what happens with it,
Okay. Now for me, Extraction, the first Extraction movie, I won't align it too much with John Wick. I put it a little more in the Man on Fire or
I see that.
kind of like, because it was kind of like Go Get My Child.
Yeah, true.
So
true.
When that happened, well, when I first heard it, I was like, Chris Hemsworth, Thor's in an action movie, and I saw the trailer. I was like, okay, but it is Netflix, and Netflix be tripping sometimes.
Right,
All right. Let's not front like Netflix always be having bangers.
Hey,
so I watched it.
Netflix taught us that not all movies are meant to be in the movie theater, and there's a reason why we have not seen the majority of movies that are made.
Yeah, it definitely, it definitely throws you for a loop sometimes with the stuff on Netflix where you're like, oh man, this looks good. And they'll recommend you should like this. And you're like, no, I don't like this. but I took a chance on it, saw the movie, and like I said, it was a basic kind of like, my child's in trouble. Mm-hmm. I need you to go get my child kind of thing.
Right.
And that itself could be very simple and very plain and very dull. But when you add in the kind of politics at play between the I can't remember if he was like a vice president or whatever, whoever it was, and then also on Tyler's side, Tyler the character, on his side with his memories of his son and him being kind of almost, at the bottom of the barrel.
Yes.
And him being kind of pulled back and almost in a situation where, is this the best guy you can find? And watching him pull it together through the first movie, I was impressed with the action. I was impressed with the kid that he went to save too. Because usually in these movies, when they have kids you got to save, they're stupid and it's annoying. But this kid wasn't. You know what I'm saying? This kid actually helped out, and even though he wasn't like Rambo, he helped. Right. So that was cool. And I'll agree. The way the movie ended, I was like, you know what? This is cool. I like how it ended. This is a great way to send off this story. And when I heard about Extraction 2, I was actually against it.
Yeah. Because it would mess up the significant emotional ending that you had with him going over the bridge and saving the lady at the end, where it was like all that work felt like, we didn't get it felt like a little robbed. I had the same feeling too, in the sense of not when it was announced, but that's why I go back to like whenever Extraction 1 was done, and if there was a question of whether there was a second one to come, I was like, if you don't do another one, you got a perfect ending. Like you have your perfect beginning, middle, and end to this, and let this be a pet project and go on.
Yeah. So, but we did get a second.
Yes.
And I want to ask you, my young brother, about Extraction 2. When you finished watching it, while you were watching it, how were you feeling? Were you feeling it? Were you enjoying it? Where you at? Because I saw your tweet, and give me some more information, some more emotion on it.
So honestly, okay. So I'll always put it like this. Whenever this is almost like the kind of like how, remember whenever The Matrix ended in 1999, the first one, and it just seemed like it was a closed case, and then it goes on like that. The difficulty when you have that, the Extraction 1 was kind of the same. When you have that is, what are you going to bring to the second one? How do we explain this? I don't think Matrix 2 did a good job in this, but Extraction 2 did. And there was always a chance, especially because there was the concept that he turned up on the beach, where we're just like, okay, he could get found. So if you're going to open like that, right? You're going to open up like that and give us that, then it really needs to hit hard that he's not in the same place at all. And I did feel like they did a great job opening into it. So whenever I got to the end of that movie, starting from the beginning and how they took it to get into the end, man, I'm ready for Extraction 3. All right. That's why I said I can do 2 more of these. Like, give me Extraction 2, 3, and 4. And then 5 is where I feel like they'll want to go, but it's like, okay, you might be pushing it a little bit too much. But I am definitely here to see more of this style. The usage of Georgians, like it was another Rescue Me plot line, but I'll be honest with you, I did not even connect the two, Extraction 1 Rescue Me plotline with Extraction 2 Rescue Me plotline. You feel me? Like, and that's a big deal because usually there's always a repetition that you start to feel like this is going to be playing out the same over and over and over again.
Oh,
and
no, sir.
No, this was a different story, kind of still a mission, but a different story, different presentation, and so many different emotional stakes. Where it's like, I feel like this was what the movie with Sylvester Stallone, not the Incredibles, the
Expendables.
The Expendables. Like, this is what the Expendables was trying to do, but it got so much caught up in just trying to bring old action stars from the 80s and early 90s back that it just became that plot line instead of, building.
I feel you.
But
yeah, this time around, I get into the movie and I'm watching it, and when they show up, the thing that I appreciated about it is they spent time with him, rebuilding and being like, look, man, hey, look, you dodged a serious bullet. Sit down.
Right.
Here's your log cabin. We love you. Sit down. Mind your business. Don't do nothing else.
Get your life right.
And honestly, everything was all good till Idris showed up.
Right. Which was such a surprise. I'm not going to lie. I'm not even surprised by cameos.
I was like, hold on, what?
I was like, what?
And Idris, his name in the movie is Alcott. But when he showed up, I was like, hold on, brother, what? I was like, and I figured they had to get Idris because since Chris Hemsworth is tall, they needed to find someone else who was tall, would be kind of like stunt casting that we wouldn't expect. And I got to give it to him. I was surprised to see him. I was truly surprised. I did not expect it. And go ahead.
I was going to say, have you noticed that the last few films that the former 5 MCU actors have been in have always, like, their next movies these movies recently have been involving other MCU stars, like, that they've worked with, like it's what was
maybe because they know each other. It's like, yo, man, why don't you holler at my boy such and such?
But that's legit. Like, it speaks to kind of like that, the fact that they actually became like real friends. Like, they all still enjoy working with each other after years and years of working together. Like, I don't know.
That's awesome.
It's awesome, right?
Like, I definitely have to give them props with just the way they pulled him off in the movie without overdoing it.
Yes.
You get his attitude, but he doesn't, he's not like a wacky character.
Yes.
And he's got a little edge to him, but he also has kind of this, maybe the smoking man from X-Files, kind of like that character where he just like pops up and you're like, who are you?
Right.
So that kind of thing. So I did like that. And I appreciated that they gave us emotional payoffs for his son, his wife, and we find out that why this family is so important. It's like, whoa, hold up. When Alcott says your sister's your wife's sister, I was like, hold up, his sister? Hold up, what? I was like, what is going on? So I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I was truly impressed. Like, this movie, the action is incredible. And phenomenal. That's what I want to go to next.
Phenomenal.
I'm gonna throw it to you on the action.
Look, like, this is where it goes into now, wherever you start to say, I have increased expectations of what's good, realistic action choreography should be in a movie. I'm not going to say the earliest ones, but, I use Born Identity because it was one of the first movies that gave us the single camera, well, not one of the first by any means, but one of the most popular ones that gave us a single camera action shot where you see all the movements. There was very few cuts in between. And then I think the next one that really stood out to me was the Netflix Daredevil movie, where you felt that, which took it off from the Man in the Hallway, or that the Asian movie. But It was those kind of action shots where it's you remove the cuts and you actually have to know what you're doing in it, and the action cannot be slow. This movie, the first Extraction movie played with that, but a lot with the car side. And this one, I felt like, man, the fighting scenes were, I mean, that really felt like war. Other than me now having questions about the level of armor, because again, John Wick seemed to give us the super armor, body suits and normality, and these people had like the different levels of body armor as well, where like nothing penetrates. It was very video. That was it. It was so video game like. The inspiration on this felt so much like a video game, and it made the tension of every action that much heavier, because you're just like, I feel like I'm watching the lifeline like dropping. Yeah,
I was watching. I was like, hold up, is this one shot? Like for a second, I was like, hold up, I'm gonna have to watch this again. But when we're coming out of the jail, getting into the cars and starting to drive, I was like, hold on, is this one shot? I'm like, yeah, when did we cut? But we probably did cut, but it was so crazy because from the second, now of course it's an action movie, you got to have a couple tropes here and there.
Of course,
the girl dropping the toy, why couldn't that just be a regular plushie or regular stuffy that has no sound at all? Of course it has to have sound. Of course. This is the Tickle Me Elmo, of course. You know, this isn't just a regular stuffed bear. Nah, this has to be the loudest stuffed bear on the planet. So, but even from there, them rushing through the jail, not being able to find the right place, having to go somewhere else, all of it feels real and the stakes feel high.
Yes.
And they do it in a way that isn't like unbelievable.
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay, this dude's getting shot, that dude's getting shot. Even the people with the body armor, it wasn't a situation where they were getting shot and they were just like, oh, bullets don't matter.
Right.
They were still staggering and things like that. So going through this and then seeing the fight between Tyler and
the brother
and the brother and the mother, and the mother too.
Yeah,
I forgot. All of that stuff comes together in a very sort of dire emotional situation, because she's trying to get, I mean, let's not mince words. The dude threatens basically to R her.
Yeah.
In front of the kid. Matter of fact, he has been, because she said, please not tonight.
Right.
So that means he's been doing this.
Yes. Like, and it also speaks to the variation of Stockholm syndrome that the son has and the trauma he's got to deal with, as well as what the little girl has to deal with as well too. So like even the perspectives of how they were trying to escape, like the way the son was feeling like he's still responsible for having to stay with his dad, despite knowing all the issues that are, or seeing the issues, but not understanding it. And then the little girl where like, she's got the trauma, but like she's sticking close to the mom, but you almost to an extent where it's like, I have to keep her protected as well too. It's really contrasting, but it was very, very subtle in my opinion. Very subtle in it, but it's those details that made that movie feel that much more realistic and felt like an actual, rescue me mission itself.
Definitely. And on the action side, the train, the car, we have two car chases. Well, sort of two car chases, but then the attack on the build, like, bruh, this movie is crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
In a good way.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. This one was a movie that actually deserves to be on screen, because again, my opinion, and I remember this from my movie pass days, whenever I would try to go to the movie, and I'm like, there's not enough movies for me to just to keep this movie pass going, because I mean, you still do it, but it's like, now I understand why they wouldn't be so afraid, because there's just not that many good movies that are meant for the big screen, because there's a whole different connection whenever you're looking at it from the big screen. But this movie being on streaming is not a robbery, man. It is an honor that we get to watch it like that. But if it was on in theater, I would not be mad at it. It would not be a reaction out of with regrets.
This is crazy. Like, the level of detail and the things that they try are normally not attempted in Hollywood. You know,
Yes.
usually these type of stunts and crazy stuff we see in, foreign cinema, but we don't usually see it in Hollywood like this. So
Right.
kudos to them on that. Now, I gotta ding the movie. You know what
Let's
I'm saying?
go. Let's go.
Let's talk about the son for just a moment. All right, so I know Stockholm syndrome exists. I know this is his father,
Yeah.
but I think we would all be hard pressed worldwide to find a son that would know that his father was at the very least forcing himself on his mother
Right.
and be like, I've got to go back with dad. Where's daddy at? I want to see my daddy. I do not believe it. And they always do this stuff in these types of movies. It's the older boy, or whether he's older or younger, the boy is always like, I want to stay with dad. I'm going to do everything. I'm like, as much as mama boys as boys be in real life, and this dude been beating up your mama and there is no way. I think we would. I believe it's less than 1% of boys that would say, I want to stay with my dad. I believe in my dad over my mom. After hearing conversations like this, pretending to be asleep, stop it. Like,
man, I'm only the only reason I will maybe even give him I'm not gonna say the benefit of the doubt, but like the ability to be believable that he needs to keep going back is that I don't think he grew his growing up process has never been in any situation that is not some level of violence in it. So like even the brothers in his situation, it doesn't sound like they lived in a protected, sheltered world. Like it seemed like things were presented in front, and then he was almost like child soldier hardened a little bit, but not to the extent he had to do anything, but to the extent that he doesn't have cognitive dissonance to separate the action. Like he's like whenever you're young, your father got sent to jail, and then they forced you guys all to live in the jail with him, which means you are also in the jail with all those other prisoners as well too. So if you're outside and you see violence, it's part of the violence, and that's all you know, but you just have never been a part of it. So so that's the only reason. Like he just lives in an environment of trauma, so he has no separation of it. But that being said, there's still some level of human instinct, because he also was not like battle driven, right? Like he wasn't violent. He didn't. His outlashes were not based on any lack of empathy. He wasn't a sociopath. He clearly had some level of innocence versus guilty in a situation. So
because he definitely the funny thing is, I'm watching this with my wife, and my Lady Lisa's like, she's not super into action movies, but she'll watch them. She enjoys an action movie here and there, but she's not super into it like I am.
Right.
But she watched it. She said that boy's gonna do something stupid.
Yes. And like you knew it. I didn't realize the level of it.
Shot when he stares at Tyler's gun. Sandro, that's his name.
Yeah.
She said that boy's gonna do something stupid. I was like, yes, he probably is. But when he didn't grab the gun, I was like, oh, okay, cool. All right,
he has some sense.
And then when they got on the plane, my dude, and he took the phone, I was like, bruh, you doomed us. And even when he's in the car and he's like, is he gonna kill my mother? He's like, if you wanted her alive, you shouldn't have called us.
Like that, exactly.
I guess his great uncle. Yeah, it would be his great uncle that said that. But he was like, if you wanted her alive, you should not have called us.
You should have told everything right there.
And that dude rolled up. I was like, yo, what are you doing? Even his uncle said, you're sending these men to their deaths. Like, we're going into a country. We're not going into a third world country. We're going into a first world nation that has, city police, state police, SWAT. Like, bruh, we're not in Georgia no more. So when we go here, it's now at the same time, they did come correct. They had rocket launchers and everything, but
They brought the work.
Even I was like, hold up. How you just bring a helicopter up here? Who's watching? Where's the I guess the English FAA? Like, who is like? You can't just be flying around here.
Wait, were they in England or were they in France?
I thought they were in England.
I thought
Maybe
they were
in France. Maybe I'm tripping.
been...
Maybe they were in France.
Yeah, but
so I could be wrong. They might have been in France.
Right.
But I'm still like, whoever the French FAA or whoever it is,
right.
Like, they ain't just gonna let anybody just be flying helicopters wherever you want.
Bruh. Right. Like that's one of those parts where you go like, okay, this is also the action movie part, because it's like, you know, the trope of the action movie is, one, the police are incompetent, and two, the military are, if the military exists, they're corrupt. And if they aren't corrupt, they don't exist. It's like,
yeah, either the police are either like super stupid,
yeah,
or all of them are being paid off.
Exactly. It can't be any middle ground, because you're right. It was just like, yo, not only did you bring one helicopter, you brought two of them. You had two major helicopters in the middle of the city, shooting everything, bopping.
They was
like straight war zone.
Like, they was shooting for real. They just opened fire on a whole building. Like, man, and of course, the police did. Now, in this case, the police did try.
Yeah,
you know, they did try. They showed up.
Arrived.
Yeah, they did show up, but they got blasted on it. Even the dude was like, "Yo, we need backup." I guess because they was like, "Yo, look, we do regular police stuff, right? These dudes got rocket launchers. This is like, we do like somebody robbed a 7-Eleven. Maybe there's I don't know, some road rage. Like, we do regular crime. Like, these dudes showed up for war.
Man, you know what's funny? I remember one of the reasons why the SWAT came into form was back in the 80s. There was like a bank robber, I think in LA. You might know this better than me. In LA, that like these two guys that were heavy protection, geared up, armed robbers that basically were just like shooting it out throughout the middle of LA, and the police were just completely incapable because they didn't have the artillery to do that. It felt like that was this situation again. It was just like, you know what? Here's the people with the super heavy, Green Ranger, heavy artillery and protection, and you're just sitting here with pop bullets while they got the boom booms and the explosions around you. And like,
the SWAT did try to show up for a second. They shot that truck down. They was like,
done.
I was like, they was not playing. But Sandro, he ruined this whole movie. We were good. We were honestly good.
Let me tell you how much I blame. Like, the loss of Yaz is 100% on Sandro.
Yes,
100%.
Do you know how many people he got killed? We're not even talking about the people in the building that got killed.
Right.
Like, all those people are on. Like, Yaz is dead because of him.
100%. 100%. Like, they succeeded in the mission. The mission was a success.
Yep.
Extracted. Everybody's out.
Everybody's happy. They even making new IDs.
Yes.
Making new IDs. Everything's good. We're cool. We about to put them on a plane to see her sister. Slam dunk. Everybody, high fives, champagne.
Right.
We're all happy. Here he come. When he was like, "What did you do?" I was like, "Oh, you know what he did."
Yeah.
He looked up and saw a helicopter. He was like, "What did you do?"
God, dog.
I was like, man.
God,
and that's another way they threw a wrench in this, because when he didn't do anything with the gun, he didn't try to shoot Tyler or anything or shoot his way out. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe he changed his mind. Maybe he came to his senses. And then when he saw that cell phone, man.
And ironically, the cell phone is more dangerous than the perfect pen is stronger than the sword. The phone is stronger than the gun, because oh man, I was so mixed on that scene, because I was like, one hand, I was so angry at Sandro for making the call and letting himself get tracked, and again, going back to the level of trauma that, how are you not understanding that you were in a jail cell? There is nothing positive that's going on here, and that they're getting you out. To the other half of it is like, Yaz, how do you let your phone get taken out. Like, how are you not tracking where your stuff is around?
Yeah, never leave you. And hold up, why didn't he have like a fingerprint? Like, he didn't have no like
no protection on that phone.
No
that
protection
phone
on the phone. He didn't have like a passcode or nothing. He didn't have to draw on the screen or nothing. Like, come on, man. Yeah, like, man, come on. Yes, man. And I liked him too. It's like, yes, I like you.
Did I miss it? Yaz wasn't in the first one, right? Like, he was purely a second movie guy, right?
I believe he was in the first one because was he in the first one? But I think he was just in the van in the first one.
Oh, you know what? Like, you might be right. That would make sense.
I think he was just in the van in the first movie. And,
that would make sense.
But yeah, when he shows up and I'm like, yo, like what's the deal, my dude? Like, why y'all chilling? Yeah, he's in the first one. So the dope thing about him and Nick is like my favorite part of them is when they're in the elevator and like everything's going to crap. Like the streets are blowing up, people are shooting up all over the place, and they just give that fist bump. I was like, word. And then I was like, you know what, we gonna be all right. Cause Nick, she seemed like, you know, you see her wearing her all her fly like white linen and stuff.
Right.
But homegirl comes correct. Like she don't mind shooting and stabbing. You know what I'm saying? She, like, I mean, yes, you know, she do get beat up some, but I mean, everybody.
She should be. Like, this is where it goes back to the realism of it, because this is where a lot of the movies end up going wrong, especially whenever they use women characters. They either make the women characters badass at the beginning, and then the victim in the middle somewhere, the one that needs to be rescued, or they make the chick they cast a chick who is clearly model thin, whose body weight does not make sense to the level of impact that they are having on their opponents. Yeah. So with Nick, it made sense that she is clearly she's battle worn. She knows what she's doing in the field, but there's no way that she could be a perfect, like, I'm gonna beat everyone up with one punch woman. It just, the size difference doesn't make sense. But she has the skills to bust through those moments. And that's where it goes like, okay, now we got a real character here. Like,
and
she's a legit fighter.
In most cases, you see women, what if I had a daughter, what I would train her to do, and what I think women should do, especially in close quarter situations. You're not going to overpower this dude. In most cases. Right. There are bodybuilders and strong women competitions and stuff like that. But in most cases, you're not going to overpower them. But what I would train you to do, and what you see a lot of women do in these movies, especially when they're not PG-13, is they use knives.
Yes.
Because even though he's usually stronger than you, you are usually more flexible and nimble than he is.
Exactly.
So use that part to your advantage. And even though all you need is a knife that's like maybe 3 inches, you don't need a huge knife.
Just enough to be able to get the tendons and to be able to incapacitate.
One in each hand, and you know, go to work. And every time I see a girl in a movie that works like that, I'm like, oh, okay, this must be rated R, because we're gonna allow people to see blood. Yes. Because their whole leg flippy move, it's not
real. It's such a disadvantage.
I think you're talking about a fraction of a percent of people that could pull that off in real time at what they would consider game speed in a fight.
Right.
Bro, you're just not going to pull that move off.
Right.
But you could pull a move off where you rush someone really fast, maybe slide on your knees towards them, like they like to do those moves, but then instead of doing some flippy-do move, just literally hit them with the bop, bop, bop with the knives, and now it's just as effective.
Yes.
Now, it might not look as cool, but it's also highly practical and makes way more sense.
Exactly. And again, it goes back to, now it feels like you're actually trying to show us a picture of life as opposed to a film. And I the reason I say the difference of that is, there's, you know, if you watch some movies where you watch the movie and you're like, I'm watching a movie. This feels like a movie. Yes, characters are doing stuff, but I feel characters, as opposed to, I'm watching a person who I happen to have this omnipotent view on and go through their process. And if your film does that, typically it's much better than it is if I feel like I'm watching the rectangle box and I'm just scene to scene. It's a very I've in my maturing experience with movies has felt the difference in that, where it's like I'm not counting the shots, I'm not counting the choreography. I don't see step punch, step punch, kick punch step. Like I don't
you see this person that's in danger and they're like going for it.
Bingo, exactly. And that one, this is what that did, and that's speaks volumes again to how they made it for for Nick. Even with Yaz, like I don't know, Yaz was like I knew in my heart Yaz was gonna have to die. Like I knew in my heart from the beginning. Like
I thought he was gonna make it because I was like, yo.
But that's exactly
they got the helicopter. I'm like, yo, they might be able to airlift him to, now he might be paralyzed or something, but I mean, they might be able to make it because they're in a helicopter now.
But this is what I meant. In my head, I knew Yaz was going to die. In my heart, I was like, there's no way they're gonna let him die. Like we gotta keep building on this guy. But in my head, I was just like, he's feeling too much like the third party. He's too much of a Chris Bosh in the big three. Oh, the Kevin
not
Love.
Not the Chris Bosh, man. Not Kevin Love. Those guys were actually solid players. Like,
exactly. But they were the forgotten ones. Like, put them out to the side. If the big two are surviving, that one is always up in the air. But
Nick be looking at Tyler like she ain't gonna say it, but she be like, that's my man.
Right? Like, yo, I'll protect him at all costs. That's mine.
But like the thing I like about Nick is they do what I believe women should do in real life situations. Because in movies, I'm like, yo, you do not want to go hand to hand. You got a gun. Why are you like her gun is her go-to? She'd be like, pop, you done. I'm out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm not. Or when she was down to it was like she was no bullets. She was stabbing left and right.
Everything.
Like, everybody was getting stabbed. Stabbed for you. Stabbed for you.
Shooting them out like Oprah.
Yo, man, she was giving out stabs all day. But yeah, I love her character, man. And even seeing her care for Tyler, and then also seeing her trying to set him up to have a nice life and mind his business.
Right.
But of course, trouble came knocking.
Of course.
But even to see her come after him at the end when he's like, I'm going to go off and do this on my own. When it's like, you don't have to, bro.
Man,
but
that was
anyway,
such a great scene.
Yeah, she showed up. I was like, man, who's going? Because I was thinking maybe Idris will show up or Alcott, maybe he'll show up. But I was like, when she showed up, I was like, word. And she got shot, but she, they ended up all right. So, I was happy that she made it because I was like, look, man, we already lost him. Like,
we can't do both.
We can't lose Yaz and like we can't lose both of them. But and like we said, man, she came through. She's definitely solid. Like she gets the job done, and I like how she came to Tyler and let him know. She was like, I would have taken this job. You didn't have to keep it from me.
Right. That again is that. The thing is, it's I'll say this. It was a great version of mothering, but also felt like big sister, also little sister. And then at the lowest end, it was like possible lover, but I didn't really actually feel like it was that. But it was like
you get like a little bit of like, I'm interested in you every now and then.
Yeah, like it's the adrenaline of the moment.
She's not crazy falling all over him.
Exactly.
Which is good.
And I thought that's another one of those things where it's like, yo, let's kill that trope where the guy and the girl can't just simply be communal with each other. Greatest admiration, close to the point where maybe it could, but honestly, we see that if it went further than this, it wouldn't make any sense. Like the level of care that they have goes beyond platonic, but it goes beyond romantic. It's like, yo, we are locked together for life, but not.
To me, she comes off as
soulmate.
We could be in a relationship. I wouldn't be against it, but I'm also not trying to force it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm definitely, it's definitely easy to see that I care for you, you care for me.
Right.
But neither of us are trying to make something happen. And I like that about the movie, where it's like, they're gonna be like, hey, this person's pretty and this person's pretty, so they're gonna be together.
They should go together.
So, but yeah, I dig this. So I wanna wrap this up, talk about the homie for a little bit. Tyler, he out there in them streets. He gets found on the river. I don't even know how he got through his whole river situation, floating or whatever. But I mean, hey, look, the tide does what the tide does. Maybe the Lord saw fit to wade the water or something, whatever he did. But I want to give Tyler some love on this. Tyler, he didn't hide from it. He didn't shy away. He came, he saw, he conquered for his family. Even got some good closure with his wife. And the funny thing is, what his wife told him about his son is something that I said to my wife while I was watching.
Yeah.
I was like, how do you know his thoughts was that you were walking out on him? Like, I have a 5-year-old. So I'm like, how do you know that's how he felt? He probably felt like, my dad's going to save people. And then at the end, what did she say? So I'm like, yo, like, come on, man. Your son, if you're just a good dad, your son sees you as like the literal best thing in the world. So it's like, I'm pretty sure he wasn't sitting around like, oh, dad left me, I guess he hates me for the rest of my life. No, he wasn't thinking that. I mean, especially when you see that drawing.
Right.
He's like, no, man, he probably thought daddy's going to save people.
But think about it. I think it goes to us, and you're a dad, so obviously you're a lot closer to the situation than I am. But I can imagine, especially we know in situations where our fears get the best of us, and we don't want to let our we don't show we don't always really show that side, because it's our job to bear the burden, to say the least. And the worst position to feel and be in is whenever you don't feel like you have any answers, and you feel helpless. And if you're going to do the one thing that's like probably the least rational, but it's the one that makes the most sense to you, because that's the way that emotion has to be expressed. We also get into the feeling that everybody sees us as that failure too. So, when
I get you.
Yeah, when that scene happened, like, I understood in the fact of like, probably the son really decides dad is here, especially if he's big dad and goes to fight into stories, and mom's probably telling stories to her saying dad's out trying to help people and save, and etc. like that. But man, when your emotions really overbear, and you just like, I don't know what to do, and I completely feel like lost. Man, you think everybody doesn't like you. You're like, I'm into isolation. Like, I failed the whole world in isolation. So, that feeling and that guilt, which is even worse. It's already bad to feel vulnerable and failing, but that guilt, and then knowing that his son passed while he was away simultaneously, is just, that was different heavy. That plot line might have underlied the foundation of the entire movie itself. I'm running on pure guilt of leaving behind the most precious thing to me, because I was scared and I didn't know what to do, and I didn't have any answers, and I didn't know who to go to for help. And I just couldn't sit in it.
He said I couldn't fix it. This is something that, like, there wasn't anything that I could do to like, oh, just press this button and everything's fine, or just move this over here, or just buy that, that particular situation didn't exist where you could just buy this thing, and everything was fixed.
Yeah, I can't fight anybody. There's nobody to shoot. There's no one for me to go capture. There's nobody that I can pay off. I have to watch this disease debilitate my kid and just sit on it. I can't even imagine being in that bed. Like, it sucks enough on nominal things that are just related to you, let alone to watch it with your own flesh and blood. In front, it's not a life that I would want on anybody but my worst enemy. And even at that, I wouldn't want that for the kid.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, that hit different.
Definitely. So yeah, man, that guy is who we meet after he's trying to build everything up, repair everything. Even after the first movie, we get that guilt. Second movie, he has to go back to his family and, still deal with them, and not deal with them in a bad way, but just like he has to kind of pull this stuff up.
Yeah.
And shouts to that moment of, seeing his ex-wife and just the silence, even though it would have been nice to get a thank you from her in that moment. But I also understand it's probably been a long time since y'all seen each other. But they just kind of stood there in silence, and I was like, so you gonna say something?
No,
I'm like, this dude did just say
your whole sister, your nephew, your niece.
Yeah, and they're all there. Everything's fine. Everybody's happy,
bro. It's those little things, but sometimes the silence speaks volumes too. It's in the silence that the words "I'm sorry," "Can you forgive me," "Thank you," everything goes in.
Yeah,
but
definitely,
man.
It's so. All right, now I got some I want some theories from you.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we got a third one coming.
Oh, 100%. I don't even think that's a question. I think they've already talked about greenlighting it. I think it was already greenlit, to be honest with you. Man, look, before we get into the theory, let's just say this, man. Mm-hmm. The Russo brothers have completely run with the fame and the acclaim that they took from doing Infinity War and Endgame. Because to think that the guys who did Community, though they've been basically doing these games, these war scenes for years now. I will say that the Nerf gun, the paintball fight in Community Season 1 is probably the pinnacle of where this all has started from. But man, they have produced some amazing work in the action scene using their former MCU stars. I completely forgot the Russo brothers and nuts, but using their former MCU stars to lead their platforms. And I don't think I've seen a group of directors or director producers that have utilized their network as deeply to create this variation and open up the acting skills of their compadres, to say the least.
Yeah, I think they have not only branched out and shown that they aren't one-trick ponies.
You're right.
With what is it? Gray Man and Extraction. Yeah. I think it's fair that we can call them the real deal when it comes to action.
Yes.
Like when it comes to action, I think we can consider them the real deal.
They are legit.
They don't really have a lot of whack. Like, okay, they did 21 Bridges, where they were producers on it.
Which wasn't a bad movie. It was a good movie. Simple. Just, I don't think that was an example of a movie that if streaming existed then in the way that it does now, it should have been on streaming, not on theater.
Word. And then you had Gray Man. I've seen that. I haven't seen like a couple of their other films, but Gray Man, 21 Bridges. Then of course you have Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep. Citadel, which was amazing.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That's a show that they're. Yeah, so I forgot because they have TV as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
you have Citadel, where that might be the one of my least liked things that they've done, and not because I don't like it, because I got maybe 4 episodes in, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this feels.
Too familiar.
I don't hate it, but it just seems like they're not trying to bring anything new to the game.
I feel that.
It feels like they're not bringing anything new to it.
I feel that. I can understand that.
But at the same time, they're not like directly doing this.
Right.
Because I believe they're just producing this one.
Right. It's more consultory than anything else.
Because the action sequences in Citadel are, they're official. But it's just the girl, Priyanka, and
Bucky, not Bucky, dude who played in Eternals.
Oh man, what is his name? Icarus.
Yeah, I was about to say it's just Icarus. I don't even know what the actor name is. Like, yo, your name is Icarus.
Icarus and Priyanka. It's like they should work because it's two pretty people on TV,
right.
but it just don't really care as much.
I can feel that. And
I'm like, it just makes me want to watch like either Mission Impossible or one of the Bond films.
Right.
The newer Bond films. I know there's people that don't like the newer ones. I prefer the newer ones.
I think the new ones have been phenomenal. Daniel Craig has been phenomenal.
Craig David. Oh,
one. I'm gonna take Spectre.
Yo, that would have been very interesting. But yeah, I definitely want to give a shout out to them. The Russos have been killing it. So this one, I think this is a hit for them. And I would say this. I think they can go more than 5, honestly.
I mean, it's possible.
Look, I've been running back the Fast and Furious films. Now, I know it's not the same thing, but I've been running back the Fast and Furious films.
Right.
And up to Fast, you have Fast and Furious 2. They're basically stealing cars. Well, I mean, they're stealing DVDs in the first one. The second one, it's basically, hey, if you help us take down this drug dealer, we'll wipe your records.
Right.
All right. So that's already their kind of entry into working with law enforcement, but not being law enforcement anymore.
Right.
Then we have Tokyo Drift. So everybody kind of disappears. We come back in 4. And your boy Brian is already in the FBI.
Right.
So okay, you have Letty. She gets killed, quote killed.
Right.
But they take down another bigger drug dealer.
Enterprise, yeah.
So then in Fast 5, everybody's on the run because they broke Dom out. Now they go down there and they're actually chilling, trying to mind their business.
Right.
And the guy there tries to kill them.
Right.
So they're like, oh no, we ain't gonna let this stand. So it's kind of like a revenge film. So these movies, they get crazier, but different things kind of happen. Now, the 6th movie is when Hobbs comes back to them and is like, all right, I need y'all on some spy hunter stuff.
Right.
Because that's when you get
the Fast 6 was
the younger Shaw, not Jason Statham, but his younger brother.
Owen Shaw. Right, exactly. The French guy.
Owen Shaw.
Yeah.
So that's now I haven't watched 7 yet, but the 6th one, and I was looking, I was like, oh, okay, so that's how they kept this fresh. Like they kept, like, yes, it was still racing, but they kept moving the goalpost a little bit where it was like, okay, yeah, they're racing, but this is going on. So it could be a situation where, hey, this is Extraction, but in this case, we're not going to save a kid.
Mm-hmm.
There's this ring that we want to take down in this movie. There's this human trafficking ring that's like, instead of trying to extract one person, if we take down this ring in this movie, we essentially save, I don't know, 500 kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Something like that. So you could kind of play around with this. And then you have the revenge angle where someone's
I'm
like,
okay with
hey,
that.
you killed, my brother or something. So you could run this out and still be, as long as you can give me the excitement and the character, the weight in those moments. I'm willing to ride this out. I'm
Right.
willing to watch more. I think you could do more than 5 if you write it well, and of course, y'all action sequences, y'all got that on lock.
Right.
So if you come with something interesting enough, I think you could do. I think you could do more. I think you
I
could do
think I
more than
think there's
5.
I think there's a possibility. I guess my thing will always be just like when it comes to the catch and rescue, or even if you go into criminal enterprise shutdown. The one
Mhm.
thing about this is that it does bring us something new in terms of the camera work while maintaining a tight story. All right.
Mhm.
It's the camera work and the tight story that put it all together. That's why I said my issue would be, can they bring enough new with the camera work to make it worth the time to do it correctly? And if you can do
Okay.
it right over past the third one, because that's usually about whenever you have your beginning, middle, and end. And if Tyler's art is capable of moving forward in a fresh way, where he's learned that final lesson in the third one, and then now we get kind of like a same tough but different perspective of how he goes about things, then maybe we can go 4, 5, 6. But once you get to 4, man, it starts to really push. It's like seasons in a show. Like you push past 5, man, you're really testing the boundaries right now of how much
Yeah,
you
I'll
really
give it
tell
to
us
you
again.
because one of the shows that I always reference like that is Supernatural.
Yes,
I like
yes,
Supernatural seasons 1 through 6.
yes,
I think are worth watching. Then
yes.
7 through 12 are
Oh my
dodgy,
gosh.
and then season 13 it comes back like, oh, okay, y'all kind of doing some stuff again. Now, at the same time, season 7, all of it wasn't trash. But
Yeah,
out of 22 episodes, say you got 8 good episodes, and the
that's
rest are like, why are
bad.
we here?
Right.
Like so yeah, there are those situations where it's like, yeah, maybe it's best to. But then when it turned around and got good again, I was like, oh snap, okay, so we just had five,
5 great
okay,
ones, couple, a bunch of mid ones, and then like 2 good ones.
yeah, because the last season was leaning on mid and then with great moments.
Right. And that's where I go back to where it's like you start getting lost into becoming a parody of your story. And I wouldn't want that. Like that's why I feel like the Fast franchise ended up being, even though I love the breakdown that you just did right there, is like it's now feels like it's a parody of itself. And I would not want the Extraction series to
I
end
feel
up
you.
being a parody of itself. Like that's where the Expendables, like I said, came in. Like
Oh yeah.
it's just like, guys, like I don't even feel like you are even caring about the story. You're just like, hey man, everybody gets a job. All right, just bring them all in. Just bring them
Everybody,
in.
you get a job, you get a job.
Get a job. You get a job. Hey man, Wesley Snipes, you in there? All right, here's 3 seconds of scenes for you. Thank you for your work. Jet Li, oh man, you've been in enough. Here's your 3 seconds. But okay, we'll bring Chuck Norris. He didn't really do anything. But we gave him 5 minutes. That was a solid 5 minutes. It wasn't a solid 5 minutes. We gave him
Yes.
5. All right.
Just let them stand there.
Hey, Liam Hemsworth, why don't we do it? Nope. He's no good. We can't bring
Oh,
this
that's cold, man.
dude.
Chris is the only bankable.
He's the only one. Let's bro. This
Yo, shouts to Liam. I feel bad. I felt bad for him when it was like, all right, check it. You know what I'm saying? Next season of dang, Henry Cavill show.
Witcher, The Witcher.
They're like, next season of Witcher, it's gonna be Liam. And like,
That's come on, man. Like,
people on Twitter were not nice. I was like, come on, man. But it is kind of, it's like, y'all ain't even going to try to like, but you never know. You never know what they're going to do with the story. Maybe they were going to be like, this is a different Witcher. You know what I'm saying?
it's not the story, it's the actor. Dude, look, I
Yeah,
seen him in
it
Cabin
is.
in the
It
Woods. I saw him in the Expendables. I can't remember. I think he did also Nickelodeon work. Like he feels very, very Jake Paul light. Like your brother is. Well, I'm not gonna say Logan isn't, but Chris is the spot. Chris feels like he wanted to be and actively tries to be a serious actor. Liam feels like
Liam is like, hey, I look good and my brother's famous.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's exactly it. Hey man, I'm the pretty boy that gets to come in. Ain't nobody care about you.
Ain't nobody think about you.
Ain't nobody thinking about you. There ain't nothing authentic about you. At least with like a Henry Cavill, it's like, yo, this dude really was about this stuff. Like he was about The Witcher. He is about his Marvel. He's about his gaming, and it comes off in his acting. Liam, takes advantage of the situation, and you know, not to say that he's not. No, I don't think he's a good actor. I don't. I think he's boring.
he kind of gets it done, I guess.
It's who was man, I was trying to think of who was the one of those actors that you just like, you're just the face. Oh, Charlie Hunnam in the robot movie. My goodness. The one that they did the second one with John Boyega.
Oh, Pacific Rim.
Yeah. Charlie Hunnam in Pacific Rim. That was basically how I feel like Liam. You're just a face. You literally just exist.
They were trying to make him a star for a second.
Yeah.
And I guess when it didn't take, there was just like, we'll let it ride.
Right. Some people, it just don't work for you. Like, just being blonde and being white does not mean that you're about to be.
It doesn't always work. Like, it'll get you a job, but it won't guarantee that you're going to be able to keep the job.
Exactly. Oh, dude, I forgot. Hunger Games and then the other stupid YA movie crap. Like, it's just.
Like Divergent.
Exactly.
All the movies that came in on the trend.
Bruh, Liam Hemsworth needs to be just on Greg Berlanti Productions. Like, that is basically where his range is.
Normally I would clown Greg, but I'm gonna say this: Greg gave us 2 seasons of Arrow and 2 seasons of The Flash that I respect. After that, he's on his own. Now we did get Black Lightning. And I will respect all of Black Lightning until the last season, because I feel like the last season everybody was like, "Look, man, who cares?"
Right.
I was like, "What is this? What is this? What are we watching?" Right. So, hey, look, he gave us a little something.
I give him the credit for it, like you said. I give him the credit for the universe. But at the same time, man, whenever you literally are just a copy, everything that you've done on CW and
cheese all throughout.
Great cheese. Consistent, predictable cheese. So, I mean, like I said, and there's a place for it. I get it. You need teenage soap operas. It worked. It worked for the time being. But that's why I go like Liam Hemsworth is that line. So to put him into those arenas is just like, I can't. So I give all the credit to Chris, because Chris has shown me that not only when you give him the effort, he is not just a pretty face. He legitimately can act, and act whether villainously or whether as the hero, and not just an action. Like, I give him credit, man. You know, so whatever his next project's like, he's on that list of projects where if he's doing a project, I will assume that it's going to be good before whether it gets proven that one or not. But I will take the time to watch a Chris Hemsworth role.
All right, cool. Well, then I'll end with this. What do you want to see? What do you want from a Extraction 3? You know, what do you want from that?
I want to see Tyler now grow from alleviating the weight of the guilt of not being with his son to trying to find a way to start a new life without the need to be pulled into war. Like, obviously with Idris, I guess clearly we're going to be seeing the big boss. So I guess it's not so much about trying to set up his life, but like, what is it going to be like without having the guilt being your battery to get things done? Like, I'm not living in reckless abandon to give up everything because I failed my family. Now it's, who is it that you're trying to talk to? Why do they need you? And who are you trying to really take down? And your motivations now, because, you know, it's not money. You just gave $1 million in cash over to your wife and kids, like your ex-wife and nephews. So, like, what's your motivation now?
Straight up, I ain't giving them no money. Look, I just gave y'all $1 million of service. All right. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got y'all money. any extra money you could have got, Sandro took that. All right. Yeah, believe that. I ain't forgetting.
Word.
He was behind all them bullets. All that. I had to go through that. Hove did that. All right, so you had to go through. But that's cool, man. Seeing Tyler without that weight, seeing what he can really be without being maybe held down, could be really cool. I'm wondering what this organization or whatever is going to be like that, or Alcott's boss. We'll see. Hopefully it's not cheesy.
Right.
But I got faith. I got faith in this production team, because at first I was like, I don't think we should do it too. I think we should leave it alone.
Right.
But now I got faith in them. Let's see what we can do. So I guess going to tell them where they can find you.
Yo, you guys can find me over on Instagram at Gifttime Rugby or Gifttime Media, on Twitter at Giftebelu or Gifttime Rugby, and on Facebook and TikTok at Gifttime Rugby as well, and on YouTube Gifttime Rugby as well. Gifttime Rugby in a lot of places, yes.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
And of course, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. Make sure to share this, like it, comment, all that good stuff, because it helps out in the algorithm. But y'all know already, man. Y'all, come on, y'all sharing, y'all doing y'all thing. So until the next train derailment, until the next explosion, until the next beheading, this is from us to you saying, peace.
Cheers.